In Big Brother, winning competitions is usually a good thing. It keeps you safe, it gives you power, and it probably also feels pretty good to just beat everyone at something. But the best Big Brother players know that you shouldn't win all the time. If you win too many competitions, that puts a big target on your back. And sometimes you might find yourself in a spot where you'll have to make a very difficult decision that could hurt your game if you do win power. So, we often see players intentionally lose competitions so they don't have to make those tough decisions. However, they sometimes don't do a great job at losing on purpose. Sometimes they accidentally win. Throughout Big Brother history, there have been a shockingly high number of instances where a player goes into a competition trying to lose it, but then they somehow fail at that, and they win it instead. Because of how bizarre of a concept this is, and because it's happened so many times, I thought it would be fun to talk about. So, without further ado, here is the history of players accidentally winning competitions that they wanted to lose.
I didn't want that HOH, but I tried to throw it. I didn't know Jason had a collar.
Before we begin, I have two things to say. Firstly, hey, hit that subscribe button to help the channel out. Secondly, I will be including Big Brother Canada in this list. There's only 2 instances, and most of them are towards the end, and there won't be any major spoilers, but I just thought I'd give you a heads up anyways. Alright, to kick things off, why don't we go to the most recent season of Big Brother? Big Brother 26, because there were actually 2 separate instances of someone winning by accident. The first time happened all the way back in week 2. Chelsea found herself to be in a great position, and she didn't want to mess that up by winning the second HOH and drawing unnecessary attention to herself. However, she was also worried about what Leah would do if she won the HOH, because Leah had just been blindsided by the first vote, and there was no telling what she would do with the power. So Chelsea made a game plan that she would stay in the competition as long as Leah was still in, and then she would throw it once Leah was eliminated. However, Leah just kept getting questions right. So, Chelsea kept getting them right too. By the time that Leah was finally eliminated and Chelsea was ready to throw the competition, it was actually too late. Chelsea was the only player to get that final question right, and she was crowned the second HOH when she didn't actually want to win it at all.
I feel like I've built some good relationships with pretty much everybody in the house, and so I'm not too sure I want to win. I don't want to put blood on my hands.
Answers are locked. Chelsea, congratulations, you are the new head of household!
I don't know how I got here, but I'm safe another week.
Fast forward a couple weeks, and we get to the week 6 HOH, which was a true or false quiz. T-Core was in a pretty powerful position at this point, and going into the competition, I don't think she was trying to win it. But she didn't actually get much of a chance to throw it either, because after just 3 questions, she was the only player left in the game, which thrusted her into the HOH position when I don't think she was fully prepared to actually be, despite what she said in the diary room.
I do not want to taint my position in this house by putting the wrong people on the block this week. I can't believe it. There's only 4 people left in the game already.
The correct answer is true. That means you T-Core are the new head of household.
I was not expecting this whatsoever.
In Big Brother 25, at the final 9, Bowie, Jane, and Felicia were both absolutely crushing it in the HOH comp, to the point where it had to come down to a tiebreaker. At this point in the game, Bowie Jane had been playing very quietly, and she saw no reason to disrupt it. So, when she realized that the tiebreaker was between her and Felicia, Bowie Jane was happy to throw the competition to Felicia and continue lying low. The question they were asked basically amounted to, how many minutes are in a week? So, Bowie Jane purposefully wrote down an answer that was so wrong in the hopes that it could not possibly win. However, crazily enough, Felicia wrote down an answer that was even more wrong, and Bowie Jane won this tiebreaker completely by accident.
In minutes, how long was Jared a zombie? The correct answer is 10,104 minutes, which means congratulations, Bowie Jane!
I think I accidentally won that. I was trying to throw that tiebreaker. I wrote down something ridiculously low, and I bloody won.
In Big Brother 3, at the final 5, the duo of Jason and Danielle had come up with a plan where they would both throw the final 5 HOH to either Lisa or Amy because they felt safe in both instances. But they didn't want to make it too obvious that they were throwing, so both Jason and Danielle answered the first question correctly. Unfortunately for them, they put way too much faith into Lisa and Amy's abilities because those two ladies actually got the first question wrong, which meant that Jason and Danielle were the only two left in the competition. Danielle then answered the following question incorrectly, and Jason was crowned the final 5 HOH when he really didn't want it.
Danielle and I had talked about taking a dive
because we thought naturally Amy will nominate Marcellus and Lisa.
And the correct answer is B. I'm sorry, Amy and Lisa, you've both been eliminated from this round.
The people that we thought we were gonna bail on and let them win the game dove out first question.
Dang!
Up next, we have a good old classic one. The Big Brother 4 final HOH. June and Allison both made it to the tiebreaker question in part 3, but both of them actually wanted to throw the competition because neither really wanted to do the dirty work of evicting Robert in third place. So when the two of them were asked how many days had they dated their respective exes, Allison wrote down 0, intentionally trying to throw it. But June was smarter, and she wrote down 1 million as her answer, which was clearly way further off than Allison's answer, which crowned Allison as the final HOH when she really didn't want to win it.
How long in days did you and your ex date? Jew, obvious winner in this one is Allison. Congratulations, you are the final head of household.
0 and 1 million. I was trying.
Moving over to Canada for a second, we have got a pretty funny one. The Week 3 HOH competition was the knockout comp, and throughout the challenge, we saw Kevin Martin performing really well, knocking out a handful of players. The competition came down to Kevin and Ashley, but Ashley answered the final question incorrectly, which crowned Kevin the new HOH. Kevin was celebrating and cheering for this win, which made it seem like he was actually happy about it. But then, once he was called to the diary room, his entire demeanor shifted. It turns out, Kevin was actually so upset that he won the HOH, and he had tried to throw it. But he accidentally got a question right to take out Zach, and then Ashley got the final question wrong, which left him as the HOH by default. This is one of my favorite accidental wins because he is so open with just how frustrated he is that he won it.
I don't want to be HOH.
The answer is false. Kevin, you are correct. False. Kevin, you are the new HOH.
So mad right now. How do I try to throw an HOH competition and I end up winning it? How does that happen?
Okay, back to Big Brother US now. In Big Brother 18, going into week 4, a group of house guests had made a secret plan to try and target Frank this round. However, there was a team twist at this point, and if someone on your team won the HOH, then your entire team was granted immunity. Paulie was one of the players who was in on the plan to target Frank. However, he was on Frank's team, so Paulie knew that he couldn't win the HOH, otherwise Frank would be safe too. Throughout the competition though, Frank was performing really well. And the absolute worst case scenario for this plan would be if Frank himself won the HOH. So Paulie stayed in the competition too to try and ensure that Frank didn't win. Unfortunately, the same thing that happened with Chelsea when she tried to prevent Leah from winning happened here with Polly. By the time that Frank finally got a question wrong, it was too late for Polly to throw it, because he was actually the only person to get that question right, and Polly was crowned the HOH against his own wishes.
The correct answer is true. Congratulations, Polly. You are the new head of household.
Polly wins HOH, and our dreams of sending Frank and Bridget out the door this week are destroyed.
I did not want to win that.
Very, very similarly to that, we get the third HOH in Big Brother 23. Just like Big Brother 18, there was a team's twist at this point, and whichever player won the HOH would have their entire team safe too. Going into week 3, Brent was the target for the majority of the house, so that meant that nobody from his team, the Aces, could win the HOH. Xavier was on the King's team, and he was hoping to throw the HOH to his teammate Sarah Beth. However, he didn't want to risk either Derek X or Hannah winning this HOH, because they were both on the Aces team, and if they won, then Brent would be safe. Luckily, Derek X and Hannah were both actually in on the plan, and they were going to lose it intentionally. So all Xavier needed to do was wait for them to throw it, and then he could throw it too. When it got to question 5, there were only 5 players left, so Derek X and Hannah knew it was their time to throw. Unfortunately for Xavier though, Alyssa and Sarah Beth both answered incorrectly as well, which meant that everyone got the question wrong except for Xavier, and he was crowned the third HOH of the season on accident.
The correct answer is false, which means congratulations, Xavier! Yeah! You are the new head of household.
Man, that was rough.
Moving along, we have the only accidental veto win that I could find, and that was Matt winning the Yankee swap veto in Big Brother 19. I won't get into all of the specifics, but basically, going into the veto competition, there was this big house plan to backdoor Cody. However, there was one small thing that could mess up this plan. Matt was a special third nominee this week due to a twist, and there was a special rule where if Matt, as the third nominee, was removed from the block, there would not be a replacement for him. Matt was actually in on the plan, and he was down to not win the veto, so everything seemed to be going great. Matt was eliminated in the 4th round, and even though he selected the veto as his prize, it didn't matter, because he knew that either Alex or Elena would steal it from him, especially since Elena was also on the block. However, both of the women got greedy, and they took the $5,000 prize instead, which meant that Matt was technically the accidental winner of the veto. Ultimately though, for those that are curious, the plan to backdoor Cody did still go through because Matt didn't save himself with the veto, and instead he saved Jason. But this was just such a funny situation where someone was on the block, they didn't want to win the veto, but then they ended up winning it anyways.
Really, the only thing that could go wrong is if Matt wins the veto, he might just be tempted to use it on himself, and there will be no replacement nominee.
I'm gonna trade it for the veto.
Whoa! Would you like to keep your $5K or trade it for one of the other prizes?
Oh, Alex! I really want the $5,000.
All right, well, this was not the plan, but the veto just fell into my lap this week.
Now, I was considering talking about the 3 Battle of the Block incidents where Caleb, Christine, and James all went into their competitions intentionally trying to lose, but they ended up winning due to a superhuman performance by their partner. But I decided against including them because, as I stated, it really was just their partner winning the competition as opposed to them. But for the sake of things, I thought I'd mention it anyways.
All right, so you're just gonna throw this?
Yeah, I'm not playing this game with you. So play change by yourself.
This is the best Battle of the Block competition there could possibly be to throw because it's pitch black. Donnie has no idea what I'm doing. Donnie, where'd you find all those bones?
The plan is to throw the competition, so it's time to sit back and relax, throw some paint on the wall.
Congratulations, James and Liz! You have won the Battle of the Block. Woo! and a bloomin' onion.
Now, as you can see, we have already gone over a good amount of competitions. However, there's one little subset of HOHs that I have yet to go over. Double evictions. Because of the fast and stressful nature of double evictions, the HOH competitions are usually over really quickly. And because of it, there isn't always enough time for someone to intentionally throw them. And it's resulted in at least 5 instances of accidental victories. The first time happened at the first double eviction of Big Brother 14. Ian had just betrayed his former teammates Mike, Boogie, and Frank at the first eviction of the night by voting to evict Boogie. And it was hard for Ian to do that. Frank then called Ian out on his betrayal just before the competition. So I'm sure that Ian was worried that if Frank won the HOH, he could be the target in this double eviction. Even so, Ian didn't actually want to win this HOH because he knew that his alliance, the Quack Pack, would want him to finish the job and target Frank. And he didn't want to betray Frank twice in one night. So I think Ian's plan here was to stay in the HOH competition until Frank lost, and then he'd bow out and have one of his allies win the competition. Things seemed to be going as planned, and eventually, Frank got a question wrong and was eliminated, leaving Ian and 2 of his Quack Pack allies as the only players left. However, Ian accidentally got the next question right, which left only himself and Danielle going into the tiebreaker. Ian then purposefully answered way over the correct answer in this tiebreaker question, hoping it would guarantee his loss. But unfortunately for him, Danielle answered even more incorrectly, which made Ian the new HOH when he so badly didn't want it.
The correct answer is 419 seconds. Congratulations, Ian. You are the new head of household.
I really tried to throw that HOH competition.
In the following season, Big Brother 15, the first double eviction took place at the final 10. At this point in the game, Erin had already won 2 HOHs, and she did not want to win another one so early on because that would paint her as such a huge competition threat. So she planned on throwing it. By the time of the 4th question, there were still 6 players left, so Erin figured that she would have at least 1 or 2 more rounds before she'd need to throw it. Unfortunately for her though, all 5 of the other players got this question wrong, and you could see the annoyance and dread come over Erin's face as she realized she accidentally just won another HOH competition.
The correct answer is more. Congratulations, Erin. You are the new head of household.
I'm shocked, and I didn't necessarily want to win because I didn't want to get blood all the way up to my shoulders today.
2 seasons later, in the first double eviction of Big Brother 17, Steve found himself in the middle of 2 warring alliances, which was exactly where he wanted to be. He was safe and out of the spotlight, so the last thing he wanted to do was win an HOH and be forced to pick a side. So going into the double eviction HOH, Steve was ready to throw it after just a couple of questions. When it got to question 6, it was down to just Steve, Austin, and Johnny Mac. I don't know why Steve stayed in the game so long, but for whatever reason, he decided that now would be the right time to throw it. So he intentionally answered this question wrong. However, Steve actually had it backwards, so his intentionally wrong guess actually ended up being right. And to make matters way worse, both Austin and Johnny Mac legitimately got the question wrong. So not only did Steve accidentally get this question right, but he was the sole player to get it right, which put him in the only position he did not want to be in, the new HOH.
Correct answer is true. Congratulations, Steve. You are the new head of household.
I did not want this head of household. I was in good shape. I was in really, really good shape. I tried to throw it.
I want to throw up.
To finish this video off, we're moving over to Big Brother Canada for 2 more accidental wins. The first time came in Big Brother Canada 2 at the final 9. This HOH was the knockout competition, and with the house divided between 2 sides, both sides were vying for the power. It was a back and forth battle, but ultimately, the Sloppy Seconds Alliance proved triumphant once Netta eliminated Kenny with 4 players remaining. At this point, Netta knew she was safe, and she didn't want to win it anymore. The players were speculating that the next HOH comp would be an endurance HOH, and Netta thought she had a great shot at winning that one too. So when Netta went up to compete in the final round against Arlie, she whispered to him that she wanted him to win it so that she could compete in the endurance HOH. The thing is, Arlie didn't want to win it either. So when Arissa read out the final question, Arlie intentionally answered incorrectly and eliminated himself on purpose, leaving Netta frustrated and annoyed, as she instead was crowned the double eviction HOH against her will. The funny thing is, the next HOH comp wasn't even endurance, so their reasonings for not wanting to win didn't even end up being valid.
I want to do the endurance one, so I don't want to win this one.
Arlie, you are incorrect. That Netta, congratulations. You are the new HOH.
He hits the wrong button on purpose, and now I can't even celebrate because I'm pissed off.
And now, for the final confirmed accidental comp win that I'm aware of, we have one of the most recent ones. This one being at the final 6 double eviction of Big Brother Canada 12. Going into the double eviction, Spicy V looked at the competitors around her and thought to herself, I don't think any of them are going to put me up, so I'm going to throw this HOH so as to not get unnecessary blood on my hands. The HOH competition was basically just an addition comp, where the players were given 3 minutes to add up a bunch of numbers that were attached to former players as they ran around the house. Spicy V didn't really care to actually do any math, since she didn't want to win. So when it was time to lock in answers, she put down the classic number 1234. Unfortunately for her, that number was actually really close to the correct answer of 1490. And even more unfortunately for her, everyone else's guesses were way off, and Victoria's guess of 1234 was the closest, which meant that she was crowned the final 6 HOH by accident.
But I really think this is another HOH comp I don't need to win. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds good to me.
Congratulations, Victoria! You are the new head of household.
What the heck? These house guests suck.
And there we go. As you can see, pretty much every time someone wins a competition by accident, it happens because the players just throw the competition unoptimally. So here's a general rule of thumb if you don't want to be put in this position. When in doubt, don't wait it out. Just answer incorrectly ASAP. If, however, it comes down to a tiebreaker, be like June and write down 1 million. Now, there are likely more competitions won by accident that I didn't cover, whether it be just because I missed it or because I had trouble finding any official word on it being truly accidental, such as Derek winning the 3rd HOH in Big Brother 16, or Cindy with an S winning the double eviction HOH in Big Brother Canada 5. So if you know of an accidental comp win that I didn't cover today, please share it in the comments down below. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I, of course, need to give that extra special shout out to all of my YouTube members and patrons who I feel would constantly be winning competitions by accident because they're just too skillful for their own good. And, as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
Steve.
It's okay, Steve. I just didn't want to do that. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Can I have some
Here,
more?
we'll get out.
Can I have
We'll
some
get out.
About 50.